The rain drummed against the airplane window as Robert Chen stared at his phone screen. 3 missed calls from his security company, 2 voicemails he hadn't bothered to check. His assistant had sent him a text an hour ago saying there was some kind of situation at his New York apartment, but nothing urgent. Robert rubbed his tired eyes. The Singapore business deal had taken longer than expected. 3 weeks away from home, jumping between meetings, hotels, and conference rooms. At 42, he had built a tech empire that most people could only dream of. His company had just signed a contract worth $50 million. He should have been celebrating. Instead, he felt empty. The flight attendant's voice crackled through the speakers, announcing their descent into New York. Robert looked at his watch. It was already past midnight. His original plan was to go straight to his hotel and head home in the morning. But something about those missed calls bothered him. He dialed his security company as soon as the plane touched down. "Mr. Chen." The voice on the other end sounded relieved. "We've been trying to reach you. There's been some unusual activity at your penthouse. Nothing dangerous, but our sensors picked up movement in areas that should have been empty at night." Robert frowned as he walked through the airport terminal. "What kind of movement?" "Kitchen, living room, your daughter's bedroom. The motion detectors have been going off every night around the same time. We sent someone to check yesterday, but your housekeeper said everything was fine. She seemed nervous, though." His daughter, 8-year-old Lily. Robert felt a familiar knot form in his stomach. Since his wife had passed away 2 years ago, he had struggled to connect with Lily. Work became his escape, his way of avoiding the painful reality of single parenthood. The nannies came and went. The only constant had been Carmen, their housekeeper who had worked for them for 3 years. "I'm heading home now," Robert said. Ending the call, the drive through Manhattan's empty streets gave him time to think. When was the last time he had a real conversation with Lily? When had he last helped her with homework or read her a bedtime story? His calendar was filled with meetings, but when was the last time he had scheduled time for his own daughter? The guilt hit him like a wave. He had been a stranger in his own home, leaving early in the morning before Lily woke up and returning late at night after she was asleep. Carmen handled everything. Cooking, cleaning, making sure Lily got to school on time. Robert paid the bills and assumed that was enough. His black car pulled up to the luxury building where he owned the penthouse. The doorman looked surprised to see him. "Mr. Chen, welcome back. We weren't expecting you until tomorrow." "Change of plans," Robert said, heading straight to the private elevator. As the elevator climbed to the top floor, Robert noticed something strange. Usually his apartment was completely dark when he returned late. Tonight there were lights on. Not just any lights. The soft glow was coming from Lily's room. His first thought was anger. It was almost 2 in the morning. Lily should have been asleep hours ago. Where was Carmen? Why wasn't she maintaining proper schedules? Robert unlocked his front door quietly, not wanting to wake anyone if they were finally asleep. The apartment felt different somehow. Warmer. There was a faint smell of soup in the air, and he could hear something that made him stop in his tracks. Singing. Someone was singing a gentle lullaby in Spanish. The voice was soft, caring, and coming from Lily's room. Robert had heard that song before. His late wife used to hum it when Lily was a baby. Robert set down his briefcase and walked slowly toward his daughter's room. The door was slightly open and warm light spilled into the hallway. As he got closer, he could make out words. Not just the Spanish lullaby, but quiet conversation. "Don't worry, little one. The fever will break soon," he heard Carmen's voice, gentle and soothing. "My grandmother used to make this special tea when I was sick. It always made me feel better." Robert stopped just outside the door, his heart pounding. Fever? Lily was sick? Why hadn't anyone called him? Through the crack in the door, he could see Carmen sitting in a chair next to Lily's bed. His daughter was lying under her favorite blanket, and even from a distance, Robert could see that her face was flushed. Carmen was gently placing a cool washcloth on Lily's forehead. "Is my daddy coming home soon?" Lily's small voice was weak but hopeful. Carmen smoothed Lily's hair with incredible tenderness. "He's working very hard, sweetheart. But he loves you very much. Sometimes grown-ups show love in different ways." Robert felt like someone had punched him in the chest. Here was his daughter, sick and asking for him, and he hadn't even known. He had been in business meetings while she needed him. "I miss him," Lily whispered. "And I miss Mommy too." "I know, baby. I know." Carmen's voice was filled with compassion. But you're not alone. I'm here and I care about you so much. You're like my own daughter." Robert watched as Carmen reached for a bowl of soup on the nightstand. It wasn't the expensive organic soup he usually had his assistant order. This looked homemade with small vegetables cut into fun shapes. "Can you try just a little bit?" Carmen asked. "I made it special just for you. My mother taught me this recipe when I was young." Lily managed a small smile and took a few sips. Robert noticed several things on the nightstand that definitely weren't there when he left for Singapore. Children's medicine, a glass of water with a fun straw, some of Lily's favorite books, and what looked like a small stuffed animal he had never seen before. Carmen had clearly been taking care of Lily all night. But why hadn't she called him? Why hadn't she called a doctor? As if reading his thoughts, Lily spoke up. "Carmen, why didn't you call Daddy when I got sick?" Carmen hesitated for a moment. "Well, sweetheart, your daddy is very busy with important work. I didn't want to worry him unless it was really serious. Besides, I know how to take care of sick little girls. I took care of my little sisters when they were sick." Robert realized something that made him feel even worse. Carmen was protecting him. She was handling everything so he wouldn't be bothered. But more than that, she was giving Lily the kind of care and attention that he should have been providing. "Will you stay until I fall asleep?" Lily asked. "Of course, little one. I'll stay as long as you need me." Robert backed away from the door quietly, his mind racing. He walked to his study and sat down heavily in his leather chair. The expensive office that had once made him feel successful now felt like a prison. For the first time in 2 years, Robert Chen, millionaire businessman, allowed himself to really think about what he had become and what he had almost lost. Robert sat in his study for what felt like hours, but when he checked his watch, only 20 minutes had passed. The house was quiet now except for the soft hum of the air conditioning and distant city sounds filtering through the windows. He couldn't stop thinking about what he had witnessed. His daughter was sick and he hadn't even known. Worse yet, Carmen had been caring for her with the kind of love and attention that he should have been providing. The guilt was eating at him, but something else was bothering him too. He needed to understand more about what was happening in his own home. Robert decided to check the security system. He had cameras throughout the apartment for safety reasons, though he rarely looked at the footage. Tonight was different. He pulled up the recordings from the past week on his computer, starting with the most recent. What he saw made his heart sink even further. The footage from earlier that evening showed Lily coming home from school with Carmen. Instead of the usual quick handoff from the driver, Carmen was walking slowly with Lily, carrying her backpack and holding her hand. Even on the grainy security camera, Robert could see that Lily looked tired and was moving slowly. Carmen had immediately felt Lily's forehead when they got inside and frowned with concern. She guided Lily to the couch, brought her a glass of water, and sat beside her for a few minutes just talking. Robert could see their lips moving but couldn't hear the conversation. Then Carmen had made a phone call. Robert enhanced the audio and caught fragments of Spanish. She was calling someone, probably her mother or sister, asking for advice about caring for a sick child. She was taking this seriously, consulting her family's traditional remedies while also checking the medicine cabinet for appropriate fever reducers. Robert continued watching as Carmen prepared soup from scratch, not using any of the expensive pre-made options in the refrigerator. She was cutting vegetables into small, fun shapes, hearts and stars, to make the soup more appealing to a sick 8-year-old. But it was the small details that really got to him. Carmen had brought one of her own sweaters to Lily when she was cold. She had called Lily's school to explain she might be absent tomorrow if the fever continued. She had even rearranged the living room furniture to create a more comfortable space for Lily to rest while staying close to the kitchen. Robert scrolled back further in the footage, looking at the past few days. What he discovered shocked him even more. 3 days ago, Carmen had stayed 2 hours past her normal time because Lily was struggling with a math homework assignment. Instead of just helping her find the answers, Carmen sat patiently, teaching Lily different ways to solve the problems. She used coins from her own purse to make the math more visual and fun. 2 days ago, when Lily came home upset about something that happened at school, Carmen didn't just give her a snack and send her to her room. She sat with Lily at the kitchen table, listening carefully as his daughter explained how some kids had been mean to her during lunch. Carmen offered comfort and advice, even sharing a story from her own childhood about dealing with bullies. Yesterday, Robert watched as Carmen helped Lily practice a presentation for school. She was encouraging and patient, applauding Lily's efforts and helping her feel more confident. When Lily made a mistake, Carmen smiled and said something that made Lily laugh and try again. Robert realized he was watching a relationship that had been building for months, maybe even years, right under his nose. Carmen wasn't just doing her job. She was filling a role that he had abandoned. He checked the footage from earlier in the week when he was still in Singapore. Every day after school, Carmen spent time with Lily. They cooked together, with Carmen teaching Lily simple recipes. They did art projects at the kitchen table. Carmen helped Lily with her reading, patiently working through difficult words. One evening, Robert watched as Carmen braided Lily's hair in intricate patterns, something his late wife used to do. Lily was giggling and showing Carmen different styles in a magazine. It was the kind of bonding moment between a mother and daughter that Robert hadn't seen in his house since his wife passed away, but what really broke his heart was a conversation he managed to catch with enhanced audio. From 2 nights ago, Lily had asked Carmen, "Do you think my daddy loves me?" Robert's hand stopped moving on the keyboard. He turned up the volume as much as possible. Carmen's response was immediate and firm. "Of course he loves you, sweetheart. Your daddy loves you more than anything in the world. But he's always working. He never plays with me anymore. Before Mommy went to heaven, he used to read me stories and help me build puzzles." Carmen was quiet for a moment, and Robert could see her thinking carefully about her response. Sometimes when people are very sad, they don't know how to show their love the same way they used to, Carmen said gently. "Your daddy misses your mommy very much, just like you do. When grown-ups are hurting, they sometimes think that working hard is the best way to take care of the people they love. But I don't need more toys or clothes," Lily said, her voice small. "I just want him to talk to me." Carmen pulled Lily into a hug. "I know, baby. And I think your daddy wants to talk to you too. He just doesn't know how anymore. Sometimes grown-ups forget how to do simple things when they're sad." Robert had to pause the video. His eyes were burning and his chest felt tight. His 8-year-old daughter was asking their housekeeper if he loved her. The woman he paid to clean his house was having to reassure his child that she mattered to him. When he continued watching, he saw Carmen make a decision. "How about this?" Carmen said to Lily. "Tomorrow, let's make a special dinner, something your daddy really likes, and we'll set the table nice with candles and flowers. When he comes home, you can tell him about your day and maybe he'll stay and eat with us." "Do you think he will?" Lily asked hopefully. "I think he will if he knows how much it means to you." Robert remembered that night. He had come home around 9 o'clock and Lily had run to the door to greet him. The dining room table was set beautifully, with candles and flowers from the building's garden. Lily had been so excited, talking quickly about wanting to have dinner with him. And what had he done? He had told her he was too tired, that he had already eaten on the plane, that they could have dinner together over the weekend. He had seen the disappointment on her face but convinced himself that maintaining his schedule was more important. Now, watching the security footage, he could see what happened after he went to his room. Carmen had sat with Lily as she cried quietly. She had saved Lily's plate and warmed it up, eating dinner with her at the beautiful table Lily had helped prepare. Carmen had listened to every detail of Lily's day that Robert had been too busy to hear. Robert realized that Carmen had been doing more than just keeping his house clean and his daughter fed. She had been preserving Lily's hope that her father still cared about her. She had been protecting the relationship between Robert and Lily, even when Robert himself was destroying it. He looked at more footage from the past month. Carmen arriving early on days when Lily had school events, making sure she looked perfect. Carmen staying late when Lily had nightmares, sitting by her bed until she felt safe. Carmen using her own money to buy small gifts and treats that brought smiles to Lily's face. In every single recording, Carmen treated Lily with the same love and care she would give her own child. And Lily responded to that love, blooming under Carmen's attention in ways that Robert hadn't even noticed. The most painful realization was this: his daughter was thriving, but it had nothing to do with him. Carmen had created a loving, stable environment where Lily felt valued and cared for. She had filled the emptiness that Robert's absence had created. As Robert sat in his expensive study, surrounded by awards and photos from business achievements, he understood something that terrified him. Lily didn't need him anymore. She had Carmen. And if he continued on this path, he would become nothing more than the man who paid the bills, while someone else raised his daughter. The question was, what was he going to do about it? Robert closed the security footage and rubbed his temples. The apartment was still quiet, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to see more. He had been living like a stranger in his own home, and tonight was his chance to understand what his life had really become. He walked quietly back toward Lily's room. The door was still slightly open, and he could see a soft glow from her nightlight. Carmen was still there, now sitting in a chair she had pulled close to the bed, reading quietly from one of Lily's books. Lily appeared to be sleeping, but Robert could tell from her breathing that the fever was still affecting her. Carmen periodically reached over to feel her forehead and adjust the cool cloth. Every movement was gentle and careful, like she was handling something precious. Robert positioned himself where he could see and hear without being noticed. What happened next changed everything he thought he knew about his household. Carmen, Lily's voice was soft and sleepy. Yes, sweetheart. I'm right here. Can you tell me more about your family? About when you were little like me? Carmen smiled and set down the book. What would you like to know? Tell me about your mama. Was she nice like you? Carmen's expression grew tender. Oh yes, very nice. My mama worked very hard to take care of me and my brothers and sisters. She used to say that love isn't something you buy in a store. It's something you give with your time and your heart. Robert felt another stab of guilt. He had been trying to show love by buying expensive gifts and paying for the best schools. But Carmen was right. Love was about time and heart, two things he had been withholding from his own daughter. Did your mama sing to you when you were sick? Lily asked. She did. The same songs I sing to you. My grandmother taught them to my mother, and my mother taught them to me. Someday when you're older, maybe you can sing them to your children. I want to learn Spanish like you. Will you teach me more words? Carmen laughed softly. Of course. We've already been practicing, haven't we? You know how to say good morning and I love you and thank you. Robert was surprised. He hadn't known Lily was learning Spanish. How much was happening in his daughter's life that he was completely unaware of? Carmen, Lily's voice became more serious. Why did you come to America? Don't you miss your family? Robert saw Carmen pause and her expression became sad for a moment. I came here to work so I could help my family back home. My mama is getting older, and my little brother needs money for school. Sometimes we have to make difficult choices to help the people we love. Do you have children back home? I have a daughter. She's a little older than you. Her name is Isabella. Robert's heart stopped. Carmen had a daughter. In all the years she had worked for them, he had never asked about her family. He realized he knew almost nothing about the woman who was caring for his child. You have a daughter? Lily sat up a little, suddenly more alert despite her fever. Where is she? She lives with my mother in Guatemala. I send money home so she can go to school and have nice clothes and food, but I miss her every day. Lily was quiet for a long moment. That's really sad. You take care of me, but you can't be with your own little girl? Carmen's voice was gentle, but Robert could hear the pain in it. Sometimes being a mama means making sacrifices. I want Isabella to have a better life than I did. The money I make here helps give her opportunities she wouldn't have otherwise. Do you talk to her? Every Sunday we video chat. She tells me about school and her friends. I help her with homework over the phone. She's very smart, just like you. Robert felt sick. Carmen was separated from her own daughter so she could care for his. She was sacrificing time with Isabella to fill the gap that Robert had created in Lily's life. Can I meet her sometime? Lily asked excitedly. Maybe someday. She would love you. You two would be great friends. Carmen. Lily's voice became very small. Do you think my daddy doesn't want to spend time with me because I'm not good enough? Robert's hands clenched into fists. How had his daughter developed such a heartbreaking insecurity? Carmen immediately turned to face Lily fully. Oh, sweetheart, no. Never think that. You are wonderful and smart and funny and kind. Your daddy thinks you're perfect. Then why doesn't he want to be with me? Carmen was quiet for a long time, and Robert could see her struggling with how to answer. Finally, she spoke with careful honesty. Your daddy is hurting inside. When your mama went to heaven, it broke his heart. Some people, when they're hurt like that, they don't know how to feel happy again. They think if they work really hard and stay busy, the hurt will go away. But it doesn't go away. No, baby. It doesn't, and sometimes people who are hurting accidentally hurt the people they love most. Lily considered this. Do you think he'll ever stop hurting? I think he needs help remembering how to be happy. And I think you might be the only person who can help him remember. How? Carmen smoothed Lily's hair again. By being exactly who you are. By loving him even when he's not good at showing love back. Sometimes the people who need love the most are the worst at accepting it. Robert had to step back from the door. Carmen's wisdom was profound and painful. She understood his emotional state better than he understood it himself. She was helping Lily navigate a situation that Robert had created but couldn't fix. When he looked back through the door, Carmen was showing Lily something from her purse. It was a small photo. This is Isabella, Carmen said softly. She's pretty. She looks like you. Do you think she would like me? She would love you. You know what? She's going through something similar to you. Her mama, me, is far away because of work. But I tell her the same thing I tell you. We are loved even when the people who love us can't always show it the way we want them to. Maybe someday when I'm better I can help you call her. Carmen's eyes filled with tears. That would be very special. Robert watched as his 8-year-old daughter, sick with fever, comforted their housekeeper who was homesick for her own child. The generosity and empathy Lily was showing came naturally to her, despite the emotional neglect she had experienced from her own father. Carmen, I have an idea, Lily said, suddenly animated. What if we made a special dinner for Daddy when he comes home from his trip? Not just me asking this time, but you too. He likes you. Maybe if we both ask together, he'll stay and eat with us. That's a lovely idea, sweetheart. And maybe we can tell him about Isabella. Maybe he can help figure out a way for you to see her more. Robert's throat tightened. His daughter was trying to solve problems that he should have been addressing. She was thinking about Carmen's happiness and trying to bridge the gap between Robert and herself. You have such a good heart, Lily, Carmen said. Your mama would be so proud of the kind little girl you're becoming. Do you think Mama can see us? From heaven? I think she can, and I think she's smiling because she knows you're loved and cared for. I'm glad you're here, Carmen. I love you. I love you too, little one, so very much. Robert watched as Carmen tucked Lily in again and resumed her position in the chair. She was planning to stay all night, watching over his daughter like a guardian angel, but it was more than that. Carmen wasn't just watching over Lily physically. She was protecting her emotionally, helping her understand difficult adult problems, teaching her about love and sacrifice and empathy. She was raising Lily with values and wisdom that Robert had failed to provide. The most devastating realization was this. Carmen loved Lily genuinely and completely, despite being paid to care for her. She loved Lily enough to sacrifice time with her own daughter. She loved Lily enough to work extra hours without complaint. She loved Lily enough to try to preserve her relationship with a father who had emotionally abandoned her. Robert had hired Carmen to clean his house and watch his child. But Carmen had given them something priceless. She had given Lily a mother's love when Robert couldn't figure out how to be a father. And tomorrow, he was going to have to figure out how to deserve what Carmen had freely given. As he walked back to his study, Robert realized that the most important business deal of his life wasn't worth $50 million. It was worth something much more valuable. It was worth learning how to be the father that Lily deserved and the employer that Carmen deserved. And it was worth swallowing his pride long enough to ask for help from the woman who had been holding his family together while he was falling apart. Robert spent the rest of the night in his study, but he wasn't working on business documents or checking emails. Instead, he was doing something he hadn't done in 2 years. He was really thinking about his life and what he had become. He opened his laptop and began looking through files he rarely accessed anymore. Photos, videos, digital memories of a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. There was a video from Lily's 6th birthday party, just a few months before his wife died. In the footage, Robert was laughing as Lily blew out her candles. He was present, engaged, and genuinely happy. He helped her open presents, played games with her friends, and carried her around on his shoulders when she got tired. Robert barely recognized himself in that video. When had he stopped laughing? When had he stopped being able to look at his daughter without feeling overwhelmed by sadness and responsibility? He found another video from even earlier, Lily taking her first steps. His wife was encouraging her from one side of the room while Robert waited with open arms on the other side. When Lily toddled toward him and fell into his arms, his face lit up with pure joy. He spun her around while she giggled. both of them completely delighted with this simple moment. Robert remembered that feeling. The absolute certainty that being Lily's father was the most important job he would ever have. The excitement of watching her grow and learn. The pride in her smallest accomplishments. Where had that man gone? He continued scrolling through photos and found images from family vacations, bedtime story sessions, and lazy Sunday morning breakfasts. In every single one, he looked like a man who was exactly where he wanted to be. He looked like a father who enjoyed his daughter's company. But then he reached the photos from after his wife's funeral. The change was stark and immediate. Even when he was smiling with Lily, his eyes looked empty. Even when he was holding her, he seemed distant. He was physically present but emotionally absent. Robert realized that he had been running away from his grief for 2 years, and in the process, he had run away from his daughter too. Every time he looked at Lily, he was reminded of what they had lost. Every family moment felt incomplete without his wife there to share it, so he had stopped having family moments altogether. He opened his calendar and looked at the past 6 months. Meeting after meeting, business trip after business trip, conference calls and presentations. He had scheduled his life so tightly that there was no room for unexpected moments with Lily, no room for school plays or parent-teacher conferences or sick days. When was the last time he had attended one of Lily's school events? When had he last met with her teacher, or knew the names of her friends? When had he last known what she was learning in school or what book she was reading? Robert felt a deep shame settling in his chest. He had been so focused on providing financially for Lily that he had forgotten to provide everything else she needed. He picked up his phone and scrolled through his contacts until he found his brother Daniel's number. It was almost 4 a.m, but Robert needed to talk to someone. Daniel lived across the country, but they used to be close before Robert got consumed by work and grief. Robert, Daniel's voice was groggy and concerned. What's wrong? Is everything okay? I don't know, Robert said honestly. I think I've been a terrible father. Daniel was quiet for a moment. What happened? Robert told him everything. The business trip, coming home early, discovering Lily was sick, watching the security footage, realizing how much Carmen had been doing that he should have been handling himself. She was asking Carmen if I love her, Daniel. My 8-year-old daughter doesn't know if her own father loves her. Robert, Daniel said gently, have you told her lately that you love her? The question hit Robert like a physical blow. When was the last time he had said those words to Lily? He couldn't remember. I thought providing for her was enough, Robert said. I thought if I worked hard and made sure she had everything she needed, that would show her I love her. Kids don't understand that kind of love, Daniel replied. They need the simple stuff. Hugs and conversations and bedtime stories. They need you to show up. I don't know how anymore. When I look at her, all I see is how much she looks like her mother. It's like a constant reminder of what we lost. Robert, have you ever considered that when Lily looks at you, she might be thinking the same thing, that you remind her of Mom, and seeing you pulls away from her makes her feel like she's losing both parents? Robert hadn't thought of it that way. He had been so focused on his own pain that he hadn't considered how his withdrawal was affecting Lily. What kind of man lets the housekeeper raise his child? Robert asked. The kind of man who's hurting and doesn't know how to ask for help, Daniel said. But also the kind of man who was smart enough to hire someone who genuinely cares about his daughter. Robert, it sounds like Carmen loves Lily. That's not a failure. On your part, that's a blessing. She has her own daughter back home that she never sees, because she's here taking care of mine. Then maybe it's time to have a real conversation with her. Maybe it's time to figure out how to make this situation work better for everyone. After Robert hung up with his brother, he continued his painful journey through the digital archives of his life. He found text messages between him and his wife about Lily's daily activities. His wife used to send him photos and videos throughout the day. Lily at the playground, Lily trying new foods, Lily saying something funny. He realized that his wife had made sure he stayed connected to Lily's life even when work kept him busy. She had been the bridge between Robert and his daughter. When she died, that bridge disappeared, and Robert had never learned how to connect with Lily directly. Robert opened his desk drawer and pulled out a letter his wife had written to him before she died. He had read it once right after the funeral and then put it away because it was too painful. Tonight he read it again. The letter talked about how proud she was of the father he had become and how much Lily adored him. But near the end, she had written something that took on new meaning now. Please don't let work become a hiding place. I know you'll want to provide for Lily by building your business, but she needs more than financial security. She needs her daddy's time and attention and love. She needs to know that she matters more than any business deal. Promise me you won't forget that the most important legacy you can leave is the relationship you build with our daughter. Robert had broken that promise. For 2 years, he had hidden in his work and convinced himself that financial success was the same as good parenting. He thought about Carmen, sleeping in a chair next to Lily's bed, caring for someone else's child while missing her own daughter thousands of miles away. Carmen was living the kind of sacrifice that good parents make. She was putting Lily's needs before her own comfort. When was the last time Robert had sacrificed anything for Lily? When had he last chosen her over a business opportunity or an important meeting? Robert looked around his study at all the symbols of his professional success. Awards, photos with business leaders, framed articles about his company. None of it meant anything if he was failing at the most important job he had ever been given. He opened his laptop again and began typing an email to his assistant. He was canceling all meetings for the next 2 weeks. He was turning down the speaking engagement in Los Angeles next month. He was delegating the quarterly board presentation to his vice president. But more than that, he was about to do something that scared him more than any business presentation ever had. He was going to have honest conversations with the 2 most important people in his life, his daughter and the woman who had been caring for her when he couldn't. Robert spent the last hour before dawn writing down everything he wanted to say to both Lily and Carmen. He wanted to apologize, but more than that, he wanted to change. He wanted to figure out how to be the father Lily deserved and how to support Carmen in the incredible work she was doing. As the sun began to rise over New York City, Robert made a decision that would change everything. He was going to stop running from his grief and start running toward his daughter. He was going to learn how to be present in his own life again, and he was going to start today. When he heard movement in the kitchen around 7 in the morning, Robert knew it was time to face the conversation that would determine what kind of man he was going to be for the rest of his life. Robert heard the soft sounds of breakfast preparation coming from the kitchen. Carmen was moving quietly, probably trying not to wake Lily. This was his moment. His heart was pounding as he walked toward the kitchen, carrying the weight of everything he had realized during the long night. Carmen looked up in surprise when she saw him. Her eyes were tired. She had clearly stayed up most of the night watching over Lily, but she immediately straightened up with professional politeness. "Mr. Chen, I didn't know you were back. How was your trip?" "Carmen," Robert said, his voice more serious than usual, "we need to talk. But first, how is Lily? Her fever broke about an hour ago. She's sleeping peacefully now. I think she'll be much better today." Relief washed over Robert, followed immediately by gratitude. "Thank you for taking such good care of her." Carmen looked puzzled by his tone. Usually their conversations were brief and focused on schedules or household tasks. This felt different. "Carmen, please sit down." Robert gestured to the kitchen table. "I have something important to discuss with you." She sat down slowly, clearly nervous. Robert could see her mentally preparing for criticism, or perhaps even being fired. He realized that in 3 years of employment, he had never asked her to sit down for a real conversation. "I need to tell you something," Robert began. "Last night when I came home early, I saw you taking care of Lily. I watched the security footage from the past few weeks, and I've realized something that should have been obvious a long time ago." Carmen's expression was careful and guarded. "You've been doing much more than housekeeping," Robert continued. "You've been raising my daughter. You've been giving her the love and attention that I should have been providing, and I've been so wrapped up in my own problems that I never even noticed." Carmen started to speak, probably to make an excuse or minimize her role, but Robert held up his hand. "Please let me finish. I heard you talking to Lily last night. I heard you comforting her when she asked if I love her. I heard you protecting my relationship with her even when I've been destroying it myself." Tears started forming in Carmen's eyes, but she remained silent. "I also learned that you have a daughter of your own back home, a daughter you never see because you're here taking care of mine." Robert's voice cracked slightly. "Carmen, that level of sacrifice, I don't have words for it." Mr. Chen, Carmen said quietly, I love Lily like she's my own child. I don't see it as sacrifice, but it is a sacrifice. And I've been taking advantage of your kindness without even realizing it. Robert leaned forward. I want to change that. I want to change everything. He pulled out a folder he had prepared that morning. First, I want to talk about your salary. I'm tripling it effective immediately, and I'm adding full health benefits for you and your family, including your daughter. Carmen's eyes widened in shock. Mr. Chen, that's not necessary. It's long overdue, Robert interrupted. But more than that, I want to make you an offer that I hope will help both our families. Robert opened the folder and pulled out some documents he had spent the morning researching and preparing. I want to sponsor Isabella's immigration to the United States. I want to help you bring your daughter here so you can be with her while still being part of Lily's life. Carmen's hands flew to her mouth. What? How is that possible? I have good immigration lawyers. If you're interested, we can start the process immediately. There's also an excellent private school near here that has programs for children learning English. Isabella could get the education you want for her while being with her mother. Carmen was crying now, but Robert could see it was from overwhelming relief and joy. There's more, Robert continued. I want to officially make you Lily's co-guardian, not just her caregiver, but someone with legal authority to make decisions about her welfare when needed. Someone she can count on forever. Mr. Chen, I don't understand. Why are you doing this? Robert was quiet for a moment, gathering his thoughts. Because I've been a terrible father and you've been an incredible mother to my child. Because you deserve to be with your own daughter, and because Lily needs both of us. He paused, struggling with the next part. I'm also making changes in my own life. I'm stepping back from day-to-day business operations. I'm hiring a general manager to handle most of the travel and meetings. I want to be present for Lily in a way I haven't been since her mother died. Carmen was staring at him in amazement. Mr. Chen, please call me Robert. We're going to be partners in raising these two girls. Robert, Carmen said, testing out his first name. Are you sure about all of this? These are big changes. I've never been more sure of anything. Last night I realized that I've been trying to run away from my grief, and in the process I almost lost my daughter. You saved our relationship, Carmen. You kept Lily loving me even when I couldn't figure out how to love myself. At that moment, they heard small footsteps in the hallway. Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway looking much better than she had the night before. Daddy, you're home. She ran to Robert, and for the first time in months, he picked her up and held her tight. I'm home, sweetheart, and I'm going to be home a lot more from now on. Really? You're not going away again? I'll still have to travel sometimes, but much less. And when I do, Carmen will be here. But when I'm home, I want to spend time with you, real time. I want to hear about school and your friends and help you with homework. Lily looked between Robert and Carmen, sensing that something important was happening. Carmen, Robert said, would you like to tell Lily about Isabella? Carmen's face lit up. Lily, remember I told you about my daughter? Well, your daddy is going to help me bring her here to live with us. Really? She's going to come here? To our house? If that's okay with you, Robert said. Carmen is going to be living here permanently now, as part of our family. And Isabella will be like your sister. Lily's excitement was infectious. Carmen, you don't have to be sad about missing Isabella anymore. And I get to have a sister. Over the next few hours, they made plans together. Robert called his lawyers to start the immigration process. Carmen called her family in Guatemala with the incredible news. Lily helped them look up information about schools and activities for Isabella. For the first time in 2 years, Robert's apartment felt like a home again. 6 months later, Robert stood in his kitchen watching an amazing scene. Carmen was teaching both Lily and Isabella how to make traditional Guatemalan bread while he attempted to help, mostly just making them all laugh with his clumsy efforts. Isabella had adapted to life in New York better than anyone had hoped. Her English was improving rapidly, and she and Lily had become inseparable. The two girls brought out the best in each other. Lily became more confident and outgoing, while Isabella became more comfortable in her new environment. Carmen had blossomed too. Having her daughter with her had brought a new lightness to her spirit. She was still dedicated to caring for Lily, but now she was doing it as part of a complete family unit rather than as a sacrifice. And Robert had learned something that surprised him. Being present for his daughter didn't take away from his professional success. It enhanced it. He was more focused and efficient when he was at work because he had something meaningful to come home to. His employees noticed the change in his leadership style, and his company was actually performing better than ever. "Daddy," Lily called out, interrupting his thoughts. "Come help us. Carmen says you need to learn how to braid the dough." Robert joined the three most important people in his life at the kitchen counter. As he watched Carmen patiently guide his hands through the braiding technique and listened to Lily and Isabella chattering in a mixture of English and Spanish, he realized something profound. He had thought that wealth meant financial success and business achievements, but real wealth was this: a kitchen full of laughter, children who ran to greet him when he came home, and a woman who had saved his family through simple acts of love. Carmen had shown him that the most valuable things in life couldn't be bought. They could only be given freely, received gratefully, and treasured completely. "Thank you," he whispered to Carmen as she helped him shape the dough. She smiled at him, understanding that he wasn't just thanking her for the cooking lesson. He was thanking her for everything, for loving his daughter when he couldn't, for believing in his capacity to change, and for showing him what it meant to put family first. As they waited for the bread to bake, Robert pulled out his phone and took a video of the four of them laughing together in the kitchen. This was a memory he wanted to keep forever. This was what home looked like. This was what love looked like. And this was the man he was going to be for the rest of his life.